Will Dawkins earns top marks in the first half of the regular season and at the trade deadline. Is he gearing us up for an encore in the offseason? Come on, let's talk about it next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Brandon Scott again. Your favorite podcast now has a newsletter, introducing the Locked On Wizards Daily Newsletter, a one-stop for the ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with the all-new free Locked On Wizards newsletter. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Is that easy? FanDuel. All right, everybody, let's get into it. Today, we are grading General Manager Will Dawkins. And this will probably be the last of our midseason grades as we head into the second half of the regular season. Tomorrow night is the Milwaukee Bucks. So tonight, we're going to grade General Manager Will Dawkins, look at the pros and the cons, expectations for next year, especially the offseason, because he's definitely going to continue to cook. And then we're going to do a preview for tomorrow night's game against the Milwaukee Bucks, which I will be there to cover the game, and I'll also be there on Wednesday night next week to cover the Trailblazers game. So definitely look forward to getting down there and getting that good content for you guys, man. So let's get into it. Will Dawkins. Let's get into his pros and his cons, and what are the expectations for him going to the offseason, especially the NBA draft, because this is a loaded draft coming up, and we have 2 first-round picks. So pros, because in my opinion, there's very little cons. So let's get into the good over the bad. Pros. Adults in the building. I mean, while we're going to talk about the cons, we're going to look at a few blemishes here and there. Overall, Michael Winger, president of basketball operations, man, I had to mess up. President of basketball operations, Michael Winger, and general manager Will Dawkins, they have both done a great job. And when you add in Travis Schlenk, when you add into other pieces such as a revamped scouting department, a coaching staff that is analytical and scouting based and is keyed in on development, we have all the right pieces in the right places in this organization. Now, looking at Will Dawkins, he's done a great job. He has done an immaculate job. Now, obviously, we're going to judge just this year as far as the free agency, the offseason, the trade deadline. We're not going to get too past last year, even though you can argue, yes, he gets high marks for getting off the contract of Bradley Beal because that continues to weigh down the Phoenix Suns. So I think he gets marks just for that. But obviously, we're looking at this year's body of work. He's done a great job. He's done a great job. Looking at the offseason, Jonas Valanciunas. He signed Jonas Valanciunas to a very, very team-friendly deal and was able to flip him for a couple second-round picks and a young prospect and Kobe Jones. Saddiq Bey is a guy where, yes, if he didn't have that ACL injury, he probably would have had a bigger price tag. But he took advantage of the market. He took advantage of that situation, which, obviously you don't want to see a guy get hurt. But I think there's other factors. Saddiq Bey has bought into what they're trying to do here. He's a local product. He's from the state of Maryland, man. He's from, so like I said, he's a very intriguing player next year because while you could see Saddiq Bey get into the rotation in the last quarter of the season, I'm a firm believer that you give him time to heal. There's no reason to play him. Bring him in training camp, bring him in the preseason, get him going, and then, definitely look for him to be a key contributor next year. But there's really no rush. The biggest thing is give extended minutes to a lot of these young players. And where would he fit? Now, he could fit on the second unit, but then you kind of want to see what you have in Justin Shimpney, because I think he's another guy who is a long-term piece here in DC. Corey Kisper's another guy where, he has kind of had an inconsistent season. So you want to give him that extended look in the second half of the season, because if they go the Denny route with Corey Kisper, which is they've already signed him to a very team-friendly extension, maybe they look to move him in the offseason. And if not, you have a guy on the cheap who can be that sniper, who can be that high basketball IQ guy, who could be that guy who really excels in moving out the basketball, which is a skill that the Wizards just don't have. And it's a league-wide issue. So getting back to Will Dawkins, the moves he made in free agency were good moves. I mean, Saddiq Bey, again, I think is a guy who could definitely be a key contributor down the line. He's kind of a gray area player like Jordan Poole, where both him and Jordan Poole could be long-term pieces. But then with improved play, there's going to be trade interest. So there's going to be a lot of interest in Jordan Poole because he did have a career season. There's going to be a lot of interest in Saddiq Bey if he really shows that he can come back from the ACL injury and continue to be a really up-and-coming nice prospect. Because, look, he's still young, still fits the timeline, and he's a guy who can play. He can play at a high level. Saddiq Bey can flat out ball. So good move in that front. And then re-signing Rashawn Holmes. I mean, Rashawn Holmes is a guy where, yes, offensively very limited, but he's a guy. He's a hustle guy. He's a dog factor guy. He's a guy that plays with a chip on his shoulder. He's a guy that really plays with attitude in the paint, and we need guys like that. Now, obviously, you want to see what you have in Tristan Vucevic long term, and I think they will give him the minutes. You've already seen him, get minutes in a rotation. But Rashawn Holmes is a guy where will he lose a lot of playing time due to Vucevic? Well, yes and no. They want to develop Vucevic. They want to give him the playing time. But then flip side, you need a guy like Rashawn Holmes in the second unit, a guy who can definitely be that high energy guy, that dog on the second unit, man. So I think that, again, he was a very under the radar move because, again, yeah, he's limited. And even defensively, he's a mismatch against really, taller centers in this league. But you can't really teach effort. And he's a guy who plays, again, with a chip on his shoulder. He plays like a straight dog, man. And I think that Will Dawkins did a great job in free agency. Now, let's get into the season a little bit. Trade deadline. Look, he was able to acquire not only a first-round pick in the 2025 NBA draft, he was able to acquire a first-round pick in the 2026 NBA draft. Not only did he do that, he added two really, really intriguing young prospects in Kobe Jones and AJ Johnson, which, if we develop them right, can be role players for this team long term, because both of them are very raw, but the offensive potential with both of these guys. Kobe Jones, very inconsistent from three, but you see that potential. I was looking at his tape, man, with him playing with the G League affiliate for the Sacramento Kings, and he's a baller. He's a baller. I definitely encourage you, if you have not seen any of his tape for the G League this year, I believe he plays for the Stockton Kings, the G League affiliate for the Kings. No, not anymore, obviously. He's right now. That's probably a question I'm going to ask Coach BK tomorrow about Kobe Jones. Is he going to be relegated to the go-go? Is he going to be stay on the active roster? We're going to get a definite answer tomorrow from Coach BK. But both of them are very intriguing young prospects who can, in my opinion, if you develop them right and you give them the attention needed, they can be really good role players. So great job. I mean, right now, and I'm not going to give the grade right now, but he's already at an A because he's done an immaculate job. Let's get into the cons. And we already know what the elephant in the room is, Kyle Kuzma. Yes, he waited too long to trade Kyle Kuzma. Yes, it was probably a bad move giving him an option. I don't know if it was Will Dawkins or if it was Michael Winger, but the front office did give Kyle Kuzma an opportunity to dictate whether he want to go to Dallas or not. And I get it why they didn't make the move outside of asking Kuz, because the Dallas Mavericks wanted us to take on Grant Williams' contract. And I think that was a good move. I think them not pulling the trigger on that move was a good move, because Grant Williams, that contract would have weighed us down, and it really would have taken away from our flexibility, not only financially, but with roster space and priority given to young prospects. So, like I said, he got the best move. I mean, he got the best deal he could with Kyle Kuzma. And obviously, we all know Kyle Kuzma asked out. He was ready to move on. And not only did he pick up a veteran who really, if you look at his contract is not going to weigh us down long term, and Chris Middleton. He was going to mentor. And, like I said today, shout out to Karita Parks, man. There was a question in the practice facility today where she asked Chris Middleton, what his place is on the team. He said, look, I'm not just here to be a mentor. I'm here to contribute, to try to turn this into a winning basketball team. So he's bought into what the situation is here in DC. Like I said, next year he's an expiring contract. So give Chris Middleton those minutes, see what he can do in the second half of the season. Then if the value is still there, because I still think he can play. He's not your prime time Chris Middleton, but he's a guy who could definitely contribute, especially a team like the Wizards. We definitely use his production, especially offensively. Still think he can stretch the floor. Defensively, maybe he's taken a step back, but he's still in my opinion, above average defender. I mean, he's still a guy who can play. You just got to really curtail your expectations. But I think he's going to fit in well with what the Wizards are doing. And then, in that same trade, we were able to get AJ Johnson, which I think he's a baller. I mean, crazy ball handling skills. I mean, the kid is very raw and, kind of on the smaller side as far as weight and muscle. So you definitely want to see him get very active in the weight room and get stronger. But once he figures out a consistent offensive game, we found a winner in AJ Johnson and a first-round pick. So, I mean, I'm just saying, guys, great deal. Yes, all the other factors. Waited too long to trade him. Absolutely. I agree 100%. Should not have given him a say in any potential deal. Get that. But he definitely made the wrongs right. Will Dawkins was able to get a really good deal for Kyle Kuzma. And like I said, Chris Middleton, first round pick, AJ Johnson, that is a good move, in my opinion. That is a really good move. So like I said, excuse me, not a first round pick, because the first round picks came from Marcus Smart, and so you guys, the first round pick was AJ Johnson, is what I'm trying to say. So, good move in my opinion. Great move because again, you were able to get some kind of value for Kyle Kuzma, and while it wasn't the asking price of 2 first round picks, it was still a really good deal in my opinion. So, like I said, guys, and I'm double checking because it's been a long day, so I'm gonna double check with you guys to see the pick situation because I believe we did get a first round pick with. Let me double check, guys, because it's been a long day. Let's see, Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, and draft compensation. So, yeah, I mean, we were able to get draft compensation, including and you can pretty much say AJ Johnson's first round pick because he was picked 1 pick ahead of Keyshawn George. So that really relegates you to 4 first round picks in his previous draft. So, like I said, really, really good deal by Will Dawkins. So where do I grade him? Well, I'm gonna grade him A. Like I said, the only reason he doesn't get an A+ is because you know I felt like he could have got a better deal last year, but let's be real, he still got like a really good deal for Kyle Kuzma. So I'm gonna give him an A because he was able to again acquire 2 first round picks. And now that I'm looking back at it, the Reggie Jackson trade was a first round pick, and then obviously Marcus Smart was another first round pick. So when I say first round pick, as far as the Bucks trade for Kyle Kuzma and Chris Middleton, is AJ Johnson. That was the pick that I'm talking about. But like I said, he was able to get a first round pick in 2025 and 2026. He was able to acquire young prospects in AJ Johnson and Kobe Jones. He was able to find some mentorship, better mentorship, that is, in Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton. And you still have Malcolm Brogdon, who is 50-50 whether he's a buyout candidate, but he's still a guy where you have the mentorship in place. You've got draft compensation for the future, and you've got young prospects. He gets an A. And like I said, the only reason he doesn't get an A+ because while the Milwaukee Bucks move for them to acquire Kyle Kuzma in exchange for Chris Middleton and AJ Johnson was a good move on Will Dawkins' part because I think it's a really bad move for the Bucks because nothing against Kuz, but that doesn't really push them past Cleveland or Boston. And you could argue to a certain degree they're kind of worse because if you look at defense, while Chris Middleton is a better defender, and yeah, he's lost a step, he's still a better defender. And there's other factors. I definitely wish Kuz well, but to me, it was not a good move for the Bucks. It was, I believe they got fleeced by the Wizards. I think that this was a really good move by Will Dawkins. So he gets an A. Like I said, he gets an A. You can argue A+. You guys let me know. I mean, I feel like he did a great job at the trade deadline, and he continues to really set this franchise up for success, not only in the immediate future, but in the long-term future. So question is for you guys, man, get in the comment section is, how excited are you guys for the encore in the offseason? Because like I said, 2 first-round picks in the 2025 NBA draft and a lot of financial flexibility. So I give him an A. You guys get in the comment section. Let me know. Do you agree or disagree and why? Come on. Let your boy know. So, all right, guys, we're going to get in the preview for tomorrow night's game against the Milwaukee Bucks. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because with FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you missed the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. If you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. And I say it all the time, guys, I'm a same-game parlay guy. I make good money with FanDuel. It is my go-to. I definitely recommend that FanDuel becomes your go-to because a lot of opportunities, a lot of different promotions. And like I said, everybody's got their own thing when it comes to sports betting, if you're a sports bettor. But to me, same-game parlays are just easy money, especially if you know the stats and really get into the injuries and really look at certain factors before the game. And plus, NBA season, you got MLB coming up right now, spring training. So spring training has officially kicked off. So look, you got baseball coming up. You still got the NBA action. A lot of opportunities to make some money. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. All right, everybody. Like I said, it's going to be a kind of a shorter video tonight. Like I said, you guys definitely let me know where you grade Will Dawkins because I gave him an A. And the only reason I give him an A+, even though I do like the Milwaukee Bucks move where they were able to acquire draft compensation, AJ Johnson, a young prospect, and Chris Middleton, who's going to be a mentor and a key contributor the second half of the season. He still can play. And I think he still can be a contributor for a team like the Washington Wizards, especially if you want to kind of be that type of leadership by example. His play, the way he the way he carries himself, his habits on and off the court, I think can go a long way with teaching this young core. So, all right, guys, tomorrow night, not only is Chris Middleton facing his former team, Kyle Kuzma's back in the building in Capital One. So definitely I will be there to cover the game. Tip-off is at 7 o'clock. So we will not be going live tomorrow night. I will be in the post-game press conference. So we will go live 7 o'clock on Saturday night. So definitely tune in and show your support, not only for the Wiz, but for your beloved Locked On Wizards. So, all right, guys, 7 o'clock tip-off. And this is Kyle Kuzma's first game back in the 202. So it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of reception he gets. And this is the first time Chris Middleton will play his former squad. So looking at the injury report real quick, the Bucks have no injuries. So they are at 100% right now. Now, looking at the Wizards, Anthony Gill is day-to-day with an ankle injury. So we'll see if he's questionable for tomorrow night. So we'll see if he gears up. Sadiq Bey, obviously, he's out. But they say that while there hasn't been any updates on his status, he is definitely looking good in recovery from what I've gathered, man. So maybe you see him after the All-Star break, but like I said, I don't see really a reason to rush him. Give him the year, let him, give him the off season to get to the super 100% healthy, because you really don't want to rush it. We're not doing too much this year. We're the worst team in the Eastern Conference, worst team in the NBA. So let Sadiq sit out, get 100%. Definitely work on his game. Give him the opportunity to really prioritize his recovery. Now, Chris Middleton is his rest right now. Ankle, and he did have an ankle injury, but he is expected to make his Wizards debut after the All-Star break. So, and that is per Josh Robbins of the Athletics. So shout out to my guy, Josh Robbins. Same thing with Marcus Smart. So both of them, I know that I did see Middleton in the building, but he did not play. And then Marcus Smart has been actively in the building. So we'll see. I'll definitely get that news out to you guys the closer we get to tip off. And then Malcolm Brogdon is out with an ankle injury. So he is listed as out for tomorrow night's game. So we will not see Malcolm Brogdon, who is also a former Milwaukee Bucks player. So, like I said, injury-wise, not a lot of surprises. Hopefully we see Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart tomorrow night. Brogdon will be out. So let's take a look at my 3 keys to victory if we do want to challenge the Milwaukee Bucks for our 10th victory. And as much as it pains me to say, our 10th victory of the season, because we're going in this matchup with a 9-45 record, which is 15th in the East, where the Bucks are 29-24 with the 5th seed in the East. So what are some 3 keys of victory? And I guess we'll make it interesting tonight. Let's not do 3 keys of victory. Let's do 3 matchups I want to look for. All right, now, Giannis at the 4, Brook Lopez at the 5. What I want to see is matchup number 1. All right, I want to see a taller lineup. Maybe this is where you see what you have as far as Vucevic at the 4. Now, with Brook Lopez, being a 7-footer, I definitely want Sarr at the 5 because they have similar games, even though Brook Lopez is kind of bigger as far as strength. But he's a guy who can stretch the floor. So I definitely want to see a matchup between Brook Lopez and Alex Sarr. But Giannis Antetokounmpo, I would not mind seeing Vucevic. See what Vucevic can do at the power forward position. Matchup number 2, Damian Lillard and Jordan Poole. 2 electrifying point guards, man. Definitely intriguing to see that matchup. And number 3, Taurean Prince versus Chris Middleton, if indeed Chris Middleton plays. Now, another matchup to kind of look at real quick before we move on, Andre Jackson Jr. at the 2 guard. And like I said, it really depends on Chris Middleton. If he plays, he's probably going to start a small forward. So that, in my eyes, that relegates Bilal Coulibaly to the 2 guard. Now, if he doesn't play, you're probably looking at Bilal against Taurean Prince. And I think that's a good matchup, because with Giannis and his height and his ability, I don't see Big Cool as being that defensive assignment. That's what I'm saying. You put somebody tall on there and see if you can keep him out the paint, because Giannis, once he gets in the paint, man, it's money. It's easy money. So like I said, guys, it really depends on the lineup before the game, before tip-off, because like I said, if Chris Middleton does play, I see him slotting at the 3, and I think that the matchup you want to see is Taurean Prince versus Chris Middleton. And then Bilal, I think that, again, this could be a really good game for him to see that scoring output, because Andre Jackson Jr., I think it's a good matchup. I think Bilal can definitely exploit that matchup. Nothing against Andre Jackson Jr., very athletic guy. He was in the dunk contest, so he's very athletic, but I think Big Cool is the better player in that matchup. I like to see Big Cool really become that second option, because here's the thing. The Bucks are going to game plan versus Jordan Poole. He's the number 1 scoring option. So they're going to take him out the game. And it's not that Dame Lillard is a lockdown guy, but he's a guy who kind of like JP. He's shown a lot more energy on the defense, but you're never going to mistake him as a as a lockdown defender, right? So those are the matchups I'm looking for, guys. Usually we do kind of go 50-50. We usually go 3 keys to victory, but I kind of want to go what matchups I'm going to look for. And like I said, really depends on Chris Middleton. If he plays, if he does, I see him slotting in as a starting small forward. So I'm looking at BQ at the shooting guard, so which means let's take a look at the second unit. So if BQ does start at the 2 guard, if you look at the second unit for the Bucks, Kevin Porter Jr., AJ Green, Gary Trent Jr., and Kyle Kuzma. Oh Lord! All right, so looking at the second unit and how it matches against our second unit. Okay, Malcolm Brogdon's out, so you're probably and then Marcus Smart does play. You're probably looking at Bub. I would say probably point guard or 2 guard. Let's see, because AJ, Kevin Porter. Bub and Kevin Porter would be a good matchup. Gary Trent Jr., I think would be a really good matchup for Corey Kispert, man, because they're both very similar. Neither one of them are really high level defenders, and both of them are guys who are more, they're shooters. And then Kyle Kuzma versus Justin Shimpney. I'm definitely intrigued to see that. Even though I definitely believe the Bucks are going to overlap minutes and see what Kuz can do against our first unit at a certain point. So, all right, guys, like I said, we're going to call it a night. Talked about it like tonight. Will Dawkins, where do you grade him and why? Definitely get in the comment section and let your boy know. Then look at the preview for tomorrow night. And your boy will be there. So, like I said, after the press conference, I will put the questions and answers up for you guys, not only on X, aka Twitter, but here on YouTube, guys. So definitely look forward to that. Get in there and get that good content for you guys tomorrow night. And again, next week, Wednesday night, I will be there for Denny Avia's return. Definitely looking forward to see my guy Turbo, man. So definitely happy he's doing well in Portland. But all right, guys, hail to the Wizards and peace. See you guys on Saturday.